What's good, y'all? It's your boy Bob Sparta 3.0, keeping the action going with the 1/6 scale SooSootoys race car Ranger. All right, here we are, full review time. So we got the red Turbo Ranger. All right, I don't know why I paused right there. We got this guy was Tommy and TJ. So this was technically two different people that played this Ranger at different points in time. And you guys, let me know down below in the comments who you preferred as the red Turbo Ranger. Did you like Tommy more? Did you like TJ? Honestly, like I said, Turbo wasn't one of my favorite seasons, so I kind of just like really glossed over that one and Zio. Didn't pay too much attention to them. But so I can't really chime in on like who was a better Red Ranger. I'd have to actually like go back and rewatch the series just to kind of come up with an answer for that. But for those of you that have watched Turbo, let me know down below who do you think was a better Red Turbo Ranger, Tommy or TJ. All right, I am curious to know what you guys think about that. But yeah, you can see we got him here out the box, and he looks fantastic, man. I absolutely love the shiny red of the fabric that they use for his costume. I mean, all the Social Rangers have had, the kind of shinier, fabric used on them up to this point. But I just gotta say, the red pops like very, very nicely. You guys saw a little bit of that when we saw the Wild Force Red Ranger from Soso. You saw how nice that red looked, and Turbo here is no exception. His red is very nice as well. And one thing that I really like that Soso is doing is that they are kind of like varying the shades of red between the Rangers, so they're not all the exact same shade of red, which is pretty cool. So you'll see at the end when we do size comparisons, but Turbo definitely has a little bit darker of like a red compared to the Wild Force Red Ranger. Wild Force has a little bit more of like a brighter kind of like more orange to his red compared to this Turbo one. So that is pretty cool. And that was kind of hinted at on the boxes of both of them, because even the shades of red on their boxes was a little bit different. Seems like for all the Red Rangers, they are kind of like in varying shades of red. So I thought that was pretty cool. Gives them a little bit of extra distinction, which is always nice. But yeah, so there he is. Let me move the box out of the way. I just wanted to have that as a quick backdrop as we started off the video. But in order to get some good focus on all the details of this amazing figure, right? We're gonna just keep the nice standard white background, all right? The white of this little wall, this little cabinet behind him. But yeah, he does look very, very nice out of the box, as you can see. And I just got him in a quick little pose here. He's holding his two swords. Like I said, I didn't really pay attention to the season all that much. Like it wasn't one of my favorites. It was cool enough, but I didn't pay enough attention to the names of his weapons. So if you guys know what, I know one of his swords is called the Turbo Lightning Sword. So I'm not sure. I believe it's this one. And then this one with this kind of like cross guard thing around it. I'm not exactly sure what that sword is called. I watched one review of this guy from the MMPR toy collector. I think that's his YouTube name, but he did mention the name of both of these swords, and I forgot what he called this one. So if you guys know the name of this one, drop a comment down below. Please let me know what is the name of this particular sword. But I do believe that this one is the Turbo Lightning Sword, so we'll see that in greater detail in a minute here. But yeah, I just got him posed up, nice, quick, and easy pose with both of his swords. Let's go ahead and put him on the rotating display stand. All right, I'm gonna take the swords out of his hands for now, just to make it easier. And we'll look at that closer up when we get to the accessories section. But for now, I'll just keep him in a nice neutral pose. And he is obviously going to have his weapon holding hands. Normally he would have the relaxed hands, but since I had him, with his swords, obviously I had to change the hands out. But yeah, let's go ahead and get him situated in a nice, pretty regular standing pose. And I did remember to bring my rotating display stand this time, so we'll get a nice, quick 360 look at him and his details, which are, of course, immaculate. All right, so let's go ahead and get him standing on here. Back him up a bit so he's in the frame. All right. And let's go ahead and get him rotating. Oh, my bad. Let me spin that a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, and we'll get him rotating now. All right, so there he is, Turbo Red Ranger. And like I said, man, the red of his outfit is just so nice. It's like so shiny and just, you know, just so sleek and cool looking, man. I absolutely love the way the light reflects off of it, and you get like a little bit of shading throughout, depending on how the light's hitting it, but it just looks very, very nice. And again, very reminiscent to the Sentai, you know, version of these Rangers, which I like that SooSoo is doing. They're doing like the kind of more shimmery look for the suits, which I do appreciate. You know, his helmet is definitely kind of done in a more matte finish, which again is unfortunate, but that is just, you know, how SooSoo is doing these Rangers, it seems. Like I said, it seems like Wild Force, out of all the Rangers that I've held so far, it seems like the Wild Force Red has like the most shine to his helmet, even though it's definitely not done in a gloss. It might be like, it's still mostly matte, I don't know, but it just seems like his reflects light a little bit more than all of the other Ranger helmets that I've seen so far from them, but that's just something to mention. But you know, even without the glossy look, you know, the red turbo helmet does look very nice on this guy. Obviously it would look better with some gloss you know, added to it, but even as is, it does look pretty cool. So we'll get him coming around here one more time, and we'll go ahead and take him off, take a closer look. All right, so there we go. Move this aside. All right, so, well, actually, I'm gonna put him to the side for a quick minute, and we'll take a look at the accessories, matter of fact. So I guess we'll start off with the swords, since we already had those in his hand first. So yeah, we do have this sword, which again, I don't know the name of. If you guys know, please let me know down below in the comments what this was called in the show, because I definitely forgot. But it is done very, very nicely. You can see we got some really nice silver paint here for the blade. We have the red for this kind of like cross guard piece that goes around the bottom here by the hilt. And it is nicely detailed, this black line that kind of, you know, goes around, and then this symbol in the middle there. That's like a pretty cool symbol. Not exactly sure what that means, but you know, he's the Turbo Ranger, so you know, everything about him is kind of like car related. So you know, that's a pretty cool little symbol there. You know, the black and yellow paint, pretty cool. Reminds me a little bit of like a biohazard symbol, just because of the black and yellow. But yeah, nice little triangle, and then we got that little symbol in the middle there, 3 black dots around it. And then we have the hilt, which is again very nicely painted, the red. Got a nice black stripe going down the middle, and a little bit of silver right there, like a little silver stud on both sides at the end. And it seems like a little bit of paint might be coming off, or may have came off. I don't know if that was, I noticed this when I took it out of his hands right now, so hopefully none of the paint rubbed off on the holding hand, but it does seem like a little bit of paint came off right there. I don't know how well you guys can see that. A little bit of white is showing right there, so maybe some of the red might have come off. That's not too bad. I can easily touch that up with some red paint. Just gotta find one that matches. But yeah, so that is his first sword. And then you have the Turbo Lightning Sword, which is this one. And I really, really do actually like the look of this sword. I think this looks pretty cool. I really do like the hilt, or like the crossguard piece right here. Very, very nice. It just looks really cool. And like, you know, this wash in between like these pieces just looks so cool to me. It reminds me of like, you know, like a cyborg or something, or like, you know, definitely like car parts, maybe like a car engine. Just like something about that wash on the silver metal just looks very, very cool. And I like the gold paint for right here, and this kind of like fan looking piece. Kind of reminds me of, you know, Ninja Storm Red, his Hawk Blaster. Kind of looks like that little fan. And then you have that same symbol that was on the other sword in that, you know, black and yellow pattern. But now it's like in the middle of this one, and it's like gold. So there's a circle surrounding it, and then you have a triangle inside of that, and then that symbol inside. But yeah, the details are very, very nice. As you can see all the way up the sword, we got the black line work. Looks very, very cool. Here's a look at the back side. Basically the exact same thing, just, you know, on the other side. And we have this little, almost like a D ring or whatever at the bottom, which is pretty cool. And he has the hilt. So yeah, very, very nice. Even the silver line work that kind of surrounds the black right here. And yeah, again, it seems like a little bit of paint came off right here, some white showing. So I don't know if that came off on the holding hands or not, or if it was like that out the package. Didn't look close enough, but yeah, just something to mention. But still, a very, very nicely detailed sword. And let's see, we'll get to the hands. Well, I guess before that, I'll go ahead and mention that he does, obviously, like all the other Rangers, come with his own display stand and, you know, holder. The little, they call it the crotch grabber. But yeah, we have the stand and the holder, which is pretty cool. You know, Metro always, you know, starts off his reviews using these to have the figure on, which I think looks pretty cool. I've never actually like assembled one of these to hold one of my Rangers yet, but maybe eventually I'll do it when I start to like display them. But a lot of the times, you know, I don't even use stands for my figures, at least for these, yeah, because they're so easy. They stand like very well on their own already. So, but you know, you do have the stand and that, obviously, just like all the other Rangers that we've had so far. So you got that. And then you have your assortment of hands. So we'll start off with the relaxed hands. You have 2 relaxed hands, which look very, very nice. Nicely sculpted. Nice details. Not too much to them, right? All white, but you do have, you know, your typical line work across by the knuckles there. And then, you know, you got some nice wrinkling inside the glove itself, which looks pretty good. So you get 2 of those, one for each hand, of course. And then you have your 2 fist hands, which look pretty nice as well. Very, very nicely sculpted. Like the wrinkles and stuff, the realism to these hands is so, so nice, man. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, very, very cool. So that looks really, really good. And yeah, so you got your 2 fist hands. You have 2 kind of gripping trigger finger hands, because he does come with a blaster as well. So you have this kind of trigger finger style hand for both sides, and it does look, you know, just as good as the others. Very nicely sculpted. So you got your trigger finger hands. You can see he's, you know, ready to pull the trigger, blast some fools away. You know what I'm saying? And then you got your kind of thumbs up hands, which is cool. These will definitely, you know, look good for some kind of expressive gestures and poses, right? You know, the earlier Power Rangers were like a little bit cheesy with like a lot of the gestures and like phrases they would say, but you know, I feel like this definitely like kind of goes with Turbo, being that this is like one of the seasons that I glossed over. Wasn't too heavily into, but you know, it definitely had its moments and whatnot. But yeah, just for like some fun cheesy photos, I think I would probably have him using these thumbs up hands. So that's pretty cool that So included these. So you got one of those for both sides. And last but not least, you have a kind of style posed hand, not quite like a gripping, but kind of like a, just like a, you know, getting into an action pose. You can definitely kind of have these hands where he's curling the fingers in a little bit, making them, you know, making them look dynamic and a little intimidating, right? So, you know, telling the bad guys like, come here so I can choke you out or something like that. But, you know, very, very cool. And you do have 2 of those, all right? So those will be all the hands that you get. And the last accessory that comes with him is actually on him right now. It is his blaster, which, again, I don't know the specific name for this blaster. I'm just going to call it the Turbo Blaster for right now. All right, you guys correct me down below in the comments if you've seen Turbo, but he does come with his nice little, you know, derby little car blaster. The design of this blaster is just so funny to me, because it really does remind me, when I was a kid, I was in Boy Scouts for a little bit, and one of the things we had to do was design like a little model like derby car, like a little kit car that was like made out of wood, and like, you know, we attached the wheels to it, added some paint to it, and we would like race them. And I remember I had made an orange car, and this definitely reminds me of that, you know, just like the overall look of this, like his the top of his gun is literally like a little red car, so that is funny to me. But yeah, he's got like the wheels, the two little wheels on each side, which is pretty cool. And then you got this black part, which is obviously like, you know, the hood of the car, like the windshield and whatnot, and the side windows, but that's pretty cool. And you got that little silver tip for the blaster. The trigger itself is a nice red in there, which is pretty cool. And the handle is just like a plain black, so not too much to it, but the car design I think is definitely clever and just, you know, funny little thing to look at. But yeah, he does have his blaster as well. Kind of interesting design how down here is just like this tiny little red piece, and then it flows into like the little guard for the trigger, which is, you know, in black. But it almost seems like this should all be black. It almost makes it look like, you know, paint came off right here, but no, that's intentionally supposed to be red, because you can see it's kind of like raised down from the rest of the car, or, you know, rest of the gun that looks like a car. But yeah, there is his blaster, and yeah, that's pretty much it as far as accessories. Oh, you do of course also get his ankle extenders, so you have the extra ankle pegs if you want to switch those out. Boost his height a little bit so that he fits in better with, say, like 3-0 figures. I'm not really sure if like Toys Battalion, I know they make some 6-scale Ranger figures. I'm not sure if they're more in scale with 3-0 or SooSoo, but I think they are kind of like on the bigger side of things, closer to 3-0. So yeah, in case you want to make your SooSoo Rangers a little bit taller so that they can fit in better with your 3-0 and similar figures, you have your ankle extenders right here. But enough about that. Let's look at this awesome figure, shall we? Yes, we shall. All right. So let's go ahead and do a little play and display action on him first, and then we'll take a closer look at his details before we close out. All right. So for your play and display action, you have for the head, you can turn side to side, no problem. Very easy. In fact, you can do a full 360 if you wanted to. All right, you can look down quite far, like literally tuck that chin all the way in, which is nice. Very, very nice range. Looking up and back, you can get the you know, the head cranking back pretty far, pretty nicely. That's not bad. You know, he can definitely look up pretty good. And let's see, tilting side to side. Yep, you get plenty of head tilt to each side. So plenty of tilt going on. All right. And for the arms, just like the Wild Force Red, we can raise them out to the side and up pretty high. Can go a little bit better than 180 degrees. So you can kind of get like a Y pose going. Just better than a T on each side if you really push it. So that is some really nice range there. And obviously, you know, the fabric's going to scrunch up a little bit around the shoulders, but, you know, it still looks really good. It's not going to rip or anything like that. And coming forward for the shoulders, you can get the arm coming forward like that. You can swing it all the way up just about, and you can, you know, you just got to be careful, but if you slowly keep pushing it, I mean, he can raise his arm basically straight up like that, which is really nice. Make sure you guys can see that. And swinging backwards. Let's see how much range he gets going backwards. Let's see. We keep pushing it. And yeah, that's pretty good. About the same as forward. So yeah, you can get some really, really nice range out of these shoulders if you're just, you know, gentle, take your time. And but yeah, if you push it far enough, it can really get some crazy range. And I notice again, like as you push the arm forward or back to like its limit, you will notice like the head start to move a little bit. And I think that's because like the inner skeleton is like for the shoulders and like around this area is connected to the head, so it does kind of like start to move his head a little bit, like kind of like makes his head like look down. But yeah, that's just something to note. That's pretty interesting. Very cool engineering there. All right. And you also have a kind of like butterfly joint type of system inside with these skeletons, so you can swivel the shoulder forward and back like so. So he does get some nice range going forward and back in the shoulders. It looks very natural, right? Very human, which is cool. And you have double jointed elbows, which again on these do look a little bit funny, right? In the fabric, makes them look like they have like really long elbows. And in certain positions, they are gonna look a little bit weird, but you should be able to hide them pretty well in most positions. Hide that kind of like weird look to the elbow, but yeah, he does get some very nice range with that double jointed elbow. And sometimes, you know, you do have to like manipulate or kind of rotate the shoulders in different ways to get them coming, you know, more in a certain range. So like say if you want it coming more forward or like towards you, you might have to like rotate the shoulder first and then pull it. Same thing going back. So just, yeah, never force anything. Obviously, if it feels like it's fighting you too much, you definitely don't want to break it. So definitely play around, rotate it a little bit first until it becomes easier. And you should be able to get that range, no problem. But yeah, they come back down and, you know, no bicep swivel again, of course, but you know, you can rotate. The skeleton does rotate just like a bicep swivel. So you can, if you grab it where his biceps would be, you can kind of rotate in and out like so, which is cool. And for the hands, they are on a hinge, kind of similar to like it's like a very small peg. It's not really a ball peg, it's just like a straight peg, but it does allow for rotation for the hands. You can swivel them all the way around and you can move them a little bit up and down, you know. Not a whole lot of range, but you can move them slightly up and down as well as in and out just a little bit. All right. And for the torso articulation, yeah, here we go. Here's a big one. Got to be able to move that torso, all right? So he can crunch forward pretty decently, about the same as the Wild Force Red. You know, not a whole lot going forward, but you know, that seems to be a trend with the So-So Rangers, just how the skeleton goes. But backwards does tend to usually be better than forwards, so you actually do get some pretty nice leaning back there, as you see. So that is nice. Bringing him back up straight. He does get a little bit of twist to each side. So you can, you know, twist side to side a little bit at that torso, kind of like the lower torso by the waist. And for the leg articulation, we'll do out to the side first. Let's see, you take it nice and slow. The skeleton definitely feels kind of like a ratcheted type of mechanism. So, you know, as you slowly bring it out to the side, it's going to like click a little bit in certain positions. But, you know, you just take your time, be gentle, and you keep pushing it. And yeah, you can basically get a full splits, just like the Wild Force Red and all the other ones that we looked at. So I'll try it on this side. Go nice and slow. Definitely don't want to force anything, right? But if we take our time, slowly push it out to the side. And yeah, you can see we get basically a perfect splits out of this guy, just like the rest, which is really, really amazing. I was, you know, very impressed and surprised at the range that these 6 scale figures were able to get for the legs. So that is very nice, especially being that they're, you know, enclosed in fabric. So that is very, very dope to see. Getting some really nice poses out of these guys. And yeah, and then coming forward with the legs, we can kick about that far. Nice, pretty nice high kick, at least about a 90-degree angle there. Coming forward, coming back, only a little bit, of course, you know, hard skeleton underneath, so it is going to run into the sculpt of the butt. He's only going to be able to go back about that far. All right, not bad. No, like, obviously cut or anything for a thigh swivel, but just like the biceps, you can rotate in and out like that. And the fabric's going to move around it. So you got a swivel there. You got double jointed knees. Come all the way pretty much to his lower back, which is pretty nice. That's pretty good range. Nice double jointed knees. And we have for the ankles, you can come down basically all the way to the tippy toes, all right? So Michael Jackson. And you can kick the foot up about that far into the boot like that. So that looks pretty good. And you do get a little bit of ankle pivot or swivel. I feel like this foot's starting to come off, but yeah, it does swivel side to side, a little bit of ankle pivot. You see, I can pop this one back in. Feels like it's coming off. Okay, like that. I guess I'll do it with this foot and be a little bit easier. But yeah, you can swivel side to side as well. So it is kind of like on a similar joint that allows for the rotation side to side. And yeah, you do have that ankle swivel or pivot in there as well. And these boots are a separate piece. So again, you can slide these off and the fabric, of course, is underneath. And the skeleton would be exposed at the very end if you like were to kind of push the fabric up. But sometimes that does make it easier if your, boots or pop off. It makes it easier to kind of pop them back in when you have that skeleton exposed, because sometimes the fabric does get in the way. It makes it a little more difficult to pop them back on. So that's just a little advice for y'all in case that happens, because it has happened to me while messing around with these guys. But usually not too big of a deal, not too hard to get it back into place. And there you go. So that is pretty much it. That is your play and display for the red Turbo Ranger, all right? Or a race car Ranger. All right, so yeah, man, let's take one last close look at him, all right? See some of these details. So yeah, man, I just want to say, like, the red on him looks, again, absolutely amazing. I'm gonna stand him here for a bit, see if I can zoom in a bit, just so we can see the details of his outfit a little bit better. But yeah, just absolutely incredible, from the sculpt of the boots and, like the wrinkling and everything, the realism. He's got that nice kind of like panel design going for his costume. So a lot of line work going down the sides, like in his legs. You got the nice black kind of line work going. And those black lines are kind of done in like a similar material to like the White Ranger. It's kind of like a vinyl or like leathery type of material. But obviously, these are a lot thinner lines. But yeah, they look very good on both sides. All right. And just backing them up here so you can see a little bit more. Let me zoom out just a bit. Yeah, he does look very, very nice. They got that same symbol that was on his other sword, on this shoulder. On this side, he's got that kind of like biohazard, I'm gonna call it, symbol right there, even though it's not the biohazard, but and then you got the black line work going around his arms, nice black, border going around the gloves or the forearm part right here. You got his nice holster for his blaster, which fits very snug. We saw earlier I had it, plugged in. So I'll go ahead and install that back. But yeah, you got some nice black line work going around the holster as well as the belt. And here's like the black line work from the back. You got your seam line down the middle, which I know some people don't like. I personally don't really care about it that much, but it looks pretty cool. And you got all these black panel lines going through his back and throughout his legs and arms. And then on his other shoulder, he has a 1, because I guess he is like, being the Red Ranger, he's Turbo Ranger #1, I'm assuming. So you have the yellow and then a nice, 1 in white in the middle of that triangle, which looks pretty good. Zoom in on that a bit. Bring that closer so you can see that. Yeah, that looks really nice. And yeah, the yellow does pop from the red very, very nicely. That's something about his suit design that is actually pretty cool. I do like the the yellow and black pop against the red very, very nice. So you got this kind of like trapezoid symbol on his chest, and then the yellow and black going around the collar. So yeah, it does look really nice. So he's got great details. Even the belt, the belt is kind of emulates like the headlights of a car. So that's pretty cool. And this is done like in a very nice material, very smooth. But yeah, man, it looks absolutely amazing. So that is basically all the details of the red Turbo Ranger. So now we'll do size comparisons. Got to get them with the rest of the SooSoo Rangers. So let's get them stacked up here. We'll back them up. And first size comparison, we have the Wild Force Red Ranger from SooSootoys that we just looked at. And before I forget, I did forget to compare this one with his Lightning Collection counterpart. But yeah, here is the small 1/12 scale version of the Wild Forest Red Ranger right there. And I think these reds look really good, man. All these SooSoo Rangers look so nice together. So yeah, man, we got TJ or Tommy, whichever one you prefer. And we got Cole right here with his, mini me. But yeah, these reds from SooSoo look absolutely great together. And as you can see, like the shades of red are a little bit different that I mentioned earlier. Not like drastically different, but I feel like there's definitely a little bit of a difference there, which is nice. All right, so there's your comparison with him. Move these guys out the way. And we'll bring in Ninja Storm Green from SooSoo and Dino Thunder Black. All right, so these guys are big, gotta back up the camera, but yeah, there you go. And I think those two scale very well with him and they look great, perfectly in scale. Man, all these Rangers look so good together. So move these guys out the way. We'll bring in Dino Thunder White. And we'll just bring in, for something a little bit bigger, we'll bring in the Galactus figure that I have as a kid as your final size comparisons. All right, so yeah, I think all these guys look absolutely amazing together. So I can't wait to review the rest of the SooSoo Red Rangers that I've got for you guys, and can't wait till we get all the reds lined up at the end. Definitely looking to put together a forever red. So thank you guys for watching the review. I'll see you in the next one. This has been your boy, BioSpider 3.0.